Welcome to the Indiana Basketball Postgame Show, live from Hoosier Hanks East. Now, here's your hosts, Todd, Leary, and Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard into another edition of After the Game with Todd, Leary, Indiana Basketball Postgame, as they take on the Illinois Fighting Illini today. And pardon the noise in the background, I am live in Montverde, Florida at Montverde Academy for their invitational. Today is the championship round game for Montverde. They will be playing in that tonight at 7. And the last game for Malik Renew, the last game for Liam McNeil, the last game for Cooper Flagg, and a lot of these guys. So it's a big time for those guys. They went through the ceremonies last night. Todd Leary, of course, the man of the hour. Welcome in, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to recapping a game that, boy, was so close. They really could have won that one pretty easily today.
Yeah, the one thing, one of the things that had been talked about, and I talked about it, will they show grit, fight, try? Where are they? Are they still, with they've got it's nothing but an uphill climb in front of them. But are they willing to try to climb that mountain? Today, we saw them make every effort, even without Kalel Ware. So you've got one arm tied behind your back, but their nemesis of not being able to hit a three-point shot was just absolutely a killer today for Indiana.
Yeah, it was. I mean, this is probably the biggest example, and exactly. I hate to, pat ourselves on the back, but this is exactly what we talked about, back in late November and December. Of if this team can't make some shots, they don't have to lead the country in three-point shooting, but they've got to show the ability to be able to make some shots. They're not going to win games like this one. And I'm not going to sit here and just keep pounding my chest, but I mean, this is exactly what we were talking about. These are the games you cannot win in the Big Ten. I mean, you played an Illinois team that did not play very well. This would have been a great win, a fantastic one on the resume if you're building that for the NCAA tournament. But, when you can't make, we'll say 0 for 9, but I mean, one, they've got to shoot a lot more than that, and two, they've got to make some of them. And this is the glaring example of exactly what we've talked about all year long. And there's a bunch of different things you can point at, but when you cannot make shots, you're not going to win games like this on the road and beat good teams. And today is a unfortunate bad example of a game that was right there for you to be able to win. And when you can't shoot the ball in today's college basketball, I mean, I'm sure most of our listeners watched the game. And if you listen to Robbie Hummel, I mean, they explain it as well as it can possibly be explained. And that is, in today's version of college basketball, you're not going to win if you can't knock down three-pointers. And you don't have to make a million of them, but you've got to be the threat of being able to make them. And this team is not a threat of being able to make them. And I just, I think we're going to keep repeating this same scenario over and over again unless they figure out a way to make some shots.
Yeah, I'm going to mute myself. Yeah, and looking at the three-point numbers, 7 of 23 for Illinois, which not a bad, horrible number, but 0 for 9 for Indiana. And on field goals, you got to hit 2 more field goals than Illinois overall. But that's still a plus 17 point differential just from the set 3-point shots alone.
Yeah, and you look at when you're going to win a game like this, and like I said, Illinois didn't play that well. Like, this was a game they served up on the silver platter for Indiana to be able to come in there and steal and win this game. Been their first quad 1 win. It would have been a great, stepping stone. They've got 2 home games following this. It might have been a nice way to get things kicked off to get on a little 3-game winning streak. But when you not only don't make any three-pointers, you're 0 for 9, but then you go 12 of 22 from the free throw line. I mean, you just didn't do enough good things to win this game. And that is, there was Indiana so many different things. If you looked at what some of these stats were and said them before the game, we would have all told you Indiana would have lost by 20 plus in this game. I mean, Indiana only had 2 bench points, and that was Anthony Leal in the last 3 minutes of the game, making a cut down the lane. They only actually Indiana only took 2 shots off the bench. Like, other than the starting lineup, there was only 2 shots taken in the basketball game. You're not going to win in today's world. Like, you know, I think a lot of Indiana fans have expressed their dislike of the substitution patterns of rotating 5 guys in at a time and all that. Well, hey, you got your wish, because Indiana only substituted 3 guys total into the game. And they just didn't get any production out of those 3 guys. I love the minutes Anthony Leal played. I thought he, you know, for a guy who's played so little minutes, I thought he looked pretty good, looked pretty comfortable out there. The only thing I would complain about is he didn't shoot enough. Like, you've got to be a threat to shoot the ball. And he's probably one of our top 3 or 4 best shooters on the team. And when you come in, like, Anthony Leal played 16 minutes in this game, you're not going to continue to get 16 minutes if you're only going to shoot the ball 1 time. And, you know, I don't want him to come in. I know the coaches would say we don't want him to come in and be a up right away, but you've got to be a threat. And Indiana has no threat, not only out of the starting lineup. I mean, Mbako is really the only threat at shooting a 3-pointer right now. And this is something I didn't understand, Jim. Like, if you watched, we all know what the game plan for Indiana was. The game plan was come down, slow the game down, and throw it into Malik Renew, let him work on the inside, and let him create something out of that. And then when you look at the end of the basketball game, you had Malik Renew wide open from the 3-point line. Wide open. They weren't even guarding him. They were letting him shoot it. And he's one of our better 3-point shooters. And he doesn't even look at the basket to take the 3-pointer. And I don't know. I didn't like our mindset in the game of, you know, I understood our number one option was to pound the ball inside to Malik. I get that. But then when you look at overall, what do you do when they take that away, or Malik fouls out, or whatever the circumstances end up being? What do you do when they take that away? You've got to have backup plans. And I honestly don't know what our backup plan was in this scenario. It was, it was a situation. It was Malik Renew or bust and figure something out. Xavier did a good job, I thought, at the end of the game, kind of taking over a little bit and being creative because we didn't really have any other options. But outside of Xavier at the very end and then Malik throughout the entire game, I don't really know what our game plan was once they took that away.
Yeah, if you look at the stats, if the stats ever told the story today, is that we've already talked about the free-throw shooting and the negative 17 points that it gave Illinois because of both 7-23 rebounding. Indiana gets out rebounded 42-35. Points in the paint, Indiana destroys them 46-30. But the free throws you mentioned, 12-22, 55%. I don't know how anybody could ever expect to do anything positive with that. That right there, those 2 things are what killed Indiana. The free throws.
Yeah, I mean, this game
and
was.
Before you start,
yep.
Let me tell you, you're going to have to carry it for a second because I'm going to move downstairs so it's not quite as loud. And then
no problem.
But I'm not going to disconnect. But you got to carry it, baby.
No problem. I got you. I got plenty to talk about with this one. But when you go through and you look at, let's just take guys down the lineup, and we all know what the game plan was coming in. The game plan, we might not know coming in, but we know it now based on watching them. Indiana was going to try to get the ball into Malik Renew and get as many touches as he could. The problem with what I saw in the first half with that was once they threw the ball inside, everybody just kind of stood there and watched. As I mentioned, the one basket by Anthony Leal he got because he was able to cut down the lane and got a wide open basket. I think because they lulled everyone to sleep because the rest of the team throughout the rest of the game, Indiana just kind of hung around and stood still after they threw the ball inside. And so, that became, I think, an issue for Indiana. I really don't understand. Like, I do know, I like the game plan. I like the idea of us playing through Malik Renew, except for I think we've got to have some other scenarios and backup plans as to what we're going to do when they are able to put a stop to that. And, what if they had just double teamed the whole game? We got kind of lucky because they didn't double team. But even if they had double teamed throughout this game and you looked at it, what was our backup plan? What would we do next? And I don't know what the answer to that is, because we didn't have anyone. We didn't really have anything that I can identify as what they were trying to accomplish and attempt to do on the offensive end of the court. And so that's a little disheartening. I don't understand, which I don't know that they need to explain it to us, but I don't understand the substitutions and why all of a sudden we've gone from, we were seeing a lot of Caleb Banks and we were seeing a lot of CJ Gunn. And obviously Anthony Walker was coming off the bench because Khalil Ware was starting. But it just seemed like we changed our way we're going to do our rotations really dramatically, like all of a sudden really fast. And so only 8 players played in this game, and that's including Peyton Sparks, who played only 3 minutes. So Cabe Cupps played 10 minutes. Anthony Leal played 16 minutes. Other than that, those are the only guys that came in off the bench and played for Indiana. And you had a guy that fouled out. And so that says a lot about how Indiana, I'll just say maybe going forward in these games, how Indiana is going to play. And I don't know the Khalil Ware situation. I don't think any of us know how much or how long he's going to be out, how much more we're going to see of him in an Indiana uniform. I think it's probably pretty obvious he goes pro after this season. But when you look at what you got out of Malik Renew has 21 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist. He was 8 for 12 from the field, 5 for 9 from the free throw line. He's a better free throw shooter than that. But that's a pretty darn good stat line. Then you look at Mbako. I think he's a guy that really needed to kind of step up and be the second factor in this game, the second, go-to guy, I guess I should say. And he had 12 points and 12 rebounds. He had a great rebounding game. I'm sure his career high in rebounds thus far in an early career. But 4 of 14 from the field, 0 for 3 from the three-point line. He made all 4 of his free throws that he shot. But I honestly think you just needed to have more out of Mbako than what we got. And I don't care, like the 4 of 14, forget the percentage. I don't care. I want him to shoot 20 times in a game like this. I want to see Trey Galloway. He finished the game with 8 points, 4 for 10 shooting. I don't know if he had all 8 points in the first half, but I'm pretty sure he had at least 6 of them in the first half. So we didn't get a lot out of him in the second half, yet we still had a chance to win the game. I see you're back. You're downstairs now. I can hear you great. But yeah, Liam
McNeil's mom just walked by me. I wish I'd have been set up quick enough. I'd have had her on, but I told her, I go, we'll be talking about your son and how Indiana could have used him today.
Oh, he would have been the leading scorer on the team today. And I don't want to sit here and be the guy that all of a sudden starts looking to next season already. But I mean, Jim, this team's 12-8 right now. And unless they do something dramatic to change the way that they play, they're not going to make the NCAA tournament. And, they're going to be in a situation where this is, we're looking at this scenario in games, probably repeatedly throughout the rest of the season. And, let's look just at the next couple games. We haven't been in this situation in a while where the season was, I don't want to say over, but almost over from an NCAA standpoint, making the NCAA tournament standpoint this early. But as of Saturday, January 27th, unless there's some dramatic turnaround, this team's not going to make the NCAA tournament. And we're going to be looking at, the Big Ten tournament as the final games for this team. And that's just, this team's more talented than that. This team should be better than that. Mute. You're on mute.
There we go. I had it muted. Had it muted
there.
I had to get that off. Yeah, and you hate to see him play this well in so many different areas and see an area that Well, they shouldn't, a situation they shouldn't be in because of they have had the opportunities to fill that. They've had more than chances to
Look,
have somebody in
Jim,
that position.
it's very simple. Like, you can't win basketball games. I don't like. I'll disagree with the coaches until the day I die. If they're going to tell me that they can consistently win games in today's college basketball world, shooting 12 of 21 from the free throw line and 0 for 9 from the three-point line, you can't win. It's that simple. This game was lost because we couldn't make shots, and it's no deeper than that. Like, I don't know what they've got to do. I don't care if they practice anything else. Like, they've got to figure out a way to shoot the ball, and if they can't figure that out, then this is what we're going to see every game.
Yeah, unfortunately, Indiana is really running out of time. And actually, yeah. I hate to me, they're out of time.
They're out of time. Yeah. It would take a miracle to turn around right now.
They would have to virtually win out. But earlier, before I came over here today, I pulled up how many teams have won quad one games, period. And once you get down towards the middle and the lower part of the list, you see teams that are like, wow, somebody, Arkansas Little Rock or something like that. There's so many of those teams that have quad one wins that for Indiana to have that big goose egg, it's just shows how bad the season was.
Yeah, I mean, and Jim, you look at it like this. Like, I don't agree with the statement of they have to win out in order to make the NCAA tournament, but they've got to win a lot of them, and they've got to beat some of the good teams that are on there. And when you look at, the upcoming schedule, I mean, just in the next week, so the next 7 days, they've got Iowa and Penn State both at home. Obviously, without, us shocking the world here, like, those are must-win games. You have to win both of those games at home. And then you've got at Ohio State and at Purdue, the next 2 games, you got to win one of those 2. And it's probably not going to be the one at Purdue. So, you've got to win that game at Ohio State, or then you've got Northwestern and Nebraska and Penn State again. Like, you've got to go on a run. Like, they got to shock some teams and beat them. And I don't know what this team does. Like let's just throw a team out there as an example. Let's take Iowa as an example. They have a very similar record to Indiana. But Iowa has a much better chance of going to Ohio State and winning than Indiana does, because the only way Indiana's going to win is that if Ohio State plays bad. Iowa could shoot you out of a game. They could beat you by just making a ton of shots. They got a bunch of shot makers on their team. Indiana they're not built that way. They're not made up that way. And unfortunately, they're in a position where if Khalil Ware comes back, would he have made a difference in this game? I think so. I mean, I don't know who would have guarded these guys on the inside had Indiana had 2 big guys. But if he doesn't come back, if you were him, like, let's just throw it all out there. Let's just say it right now. If you were Khalil Ware and you were going to get drafted in the first round of the NBA draft next year, would you come back and play right now?
I wouldn't come back, period, if I was getting drafted in the first round.
From a business perspective, you probably wouldn't. Like, it makes sense that you wouldn't. And so, I mean, let's just assume we've got to play without him for the rest of the year, because I think that might be a realistic scenario. Then, guys are going to have to step up. I mean, if I were one of the assistant coaches after this game, I would go to Anthony Leal and I would say, hey, Anthony, let's look at what you just did. You just played 16 minutes and took 1 shot. We can't win that way. I can't put you on the floor for 16 minutes if you're only going to shoot the ball 1 time. Like, you got to work harder to get yourself open. I'm not saying force shots. I'm just saying you got to work harder to put yourself in a position to get open shots. And I know he wasn't, the guy, he wasn't the go-to guy, or we didn't set any plays up for him and all that. I understand all that. But this team cannot possibly think they're going to win any more games if the game plan is throw the ball to Malik Renew every time down the court and let him go to work. That they're not going to win any games if that's the only game plan.
Shelley with a great comment and kind of brings it home. She said this team reminds her of watching an AAU team on a Saturday afternoon. Absolutely no ability to shoot, break down one-on-one offensive plays and questionable defense with no accountability and team discipline on the floor. Look at Shelley go. Just bam, bam, bam. Nailing about 5 big points right there.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, that's frustration. Like, you want to read that comment? Like, I'll tell you what that comment is. That comment is frustration, because you can also go watch a 7th grade team. You can go watch the majority of teams that you would see in an AAU tournament play, and they're going to shoot better than 0 for 9, and they're going to shoot better than 12 for 22 from the free throw line. And that free throw line and that height of that basket are the same for a 7th grader as they are for these kids that have been playing, that are in college right now and supposedly 5-star recruits and whatever they are. Like, this team has got to be better at shooting the basketball. End of the story. Like, Shelley, I get it. Everything you said's somewhat accurate. I don't know if I agree with the defensive suspect. They did a decent job, I thought, defensively for what this team has. They held this basketball team to Illinois to, a pretty low amount of points for what you can expect out of them. But when you look at what this basketball team has got to do, like, it's one thing, and one thing is very simple, and that's make more shots.
Yes, they do. And where they will come from, no one knows. And one thing that I can't say that I know this because I don't know Jack, but I do not expect there to be any change in Indiana's attack, how they attack, what they're doing, how they run their offense. Or whatever offense is there, but nothing is going to change. And you talk about it all the time, the definition of insanity. I think we're seeing it with this team a little bit.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if Mike Woodson, at some point, Mike Woodson's got to get that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that their version of that would be, okay, well, people complained a while back about we substituted too much. And now they're probably going to complain that we substituted too little. And, have we seen the last of CJ Gunn? Was he serving a suspension for what happened in the last game? Was this just teaching him a lesson? Is Caleb Banks done playing? What can we expect here at this point? And I don't think any of us expected to see Anthony Leal play in this game, especially 16 minutes in a close ball game. But I am the first one that is on the Anthony Leal train. I think Anthony Leal, he should play 16 minutes in most of the games. But I think somebody's got to sit him down and say, Anthony, we don't need you to not make mistakes. We need production. Like, this team needs people to do stuff, not just to not do bad things. And that's where, like, I don't know how I going into the season, I can go back on this and I feel very comfortable in saying I've been a Gabe Cupps fan from day one. I think I said before the season many, many times on a bunch of different shows that it was going to be hard to keep him off the floor. And I got to be honest with you, I don't know why he is on the floor, because he doesn't do anything. And somebody's got to get to him and get him to understand, hey, look, we don't need you to not make mistakes. We need you to make plays. And I love Gabe Cupps. I think he's going to be a fantastic Indiana basketball player. But right now he does nothing. He's doing nothing. Like, his production is zero. And we can't have that. Like, you can't play. He played 10 minutes in this game. He had 1 assist. He took 1 shot. Let's see, what else did I have? He did have a steal. He had 1 turnover. I mean, like, in 10 minutes of play, like, that's not enough. Like, you got to do more than that. And I just don't know. Like, I could sit here and get mad and angry and frustrated all I want, but I mean, these guys have got to do more. Like, that's the bottom line.
And Indiana did enough. Not enough, but defensively, they hold Terrence Shannon Jr. to 12 points. Damask was a problem with 16. Hawkins had 11, and Luke Goody, former Indiana kid, with 11 as well, as he hit 3 of the 7 made 3-point shots for Illinois. Kid that was not good enough to be recruited by Indiana under Archie Miller.
Yeah, I mean, look, we can play that game all day long. I mean, there's tons of kids.
That was not my intention, but it just came to my mind real quick.
I know it, but I mean, you're right. Like, hey, look, at the end of the day, this team wins this basketball game. The final margin ended up being 8 points, but we all know it wasn't anywhere near 8 points for the majority of the game. And with 5 minutes to go, if Indiana had made, let's just say 2 of their 3-point attempts, and let's just say 70% of their free throws, Indiana probably has an 8-point lead at that point. And that's without, if they were 2 for 9 from the 3-point line, I don't think anyone would have acted like that was great, but it would have certainly helped this team. And so, yeah, I'll say it again. And look, the coaching staff, I know them well enough to know that they would scoff at the fact of, me saying, or anyone saying that, this team's biggest problem is shooting. But all of us can't be wrong. I mean, Robbie Hummel watches good teams play every single week, pretty much every night. The guy's on TV every night. And he said it as well as anyone. You can't win in today's world of college basketball. Maybe back in 1990 you could, but in 2024 you can't. You cannot win if you can't make 3-pointers. And this team really, really struggles, obviously, to make 3-pointers. Mute.
Thank you. That's not something that's been a problem just here of late, and not just under Mike Woodson, I have to say, but that tells me that that problem is not being taken care of by either of those people, whomever it is. But the free throw thing is mind-boggling. I don't understand.
No, it is. I don't either.
You've got guards that are shooting 50%, and I sounds like an idiot, which I am, but I would take anybody's challenge that I think I could hit 65 to 70% right now. And I was nothing. And you would hit 90% right now.
Guaranteed.
And why these guys can't just do these simple little things is beyond comprehension for me.
Yeah, it is. I'm telling you, like, I wouldn't recruit another player that can't shoot. I mean, if you can't shoot, I'll just say it easily. Like, if you can't shoot 80% from the free throw line and 50% from the field and 40% from the 3-point line, unless you're 6'11", I wouldn't recruit you. Like, I know that's probably, there's some factors in there that are probably not entirely true for every player, but if you're under 6'10" and you can't shoot, 40% from the 3-point line, I wouldn't recruit you. And that's just, I'm not trying to be a smart ass here, but I mean, you can take all the stars that you want and you could throw them out the window. That is why I've never really looked forward to recruits coming in and things like that before, because I know, like, it's always, once the season starts, it's always different once they get on the court. Not with Liam McNeil. He's different. He is different. And he is going to make an immediate impact on the shooting. But the problem that I have with that is, like, we need 2 or 3 guys to have an impact on the shooting. It can't just be him. And so that's why I really hope Mbako is back next year, because I think Mbako will benefit significantly from having Liam McNeil come in and have another guy that they have to help off of. And then that way, if you've got Malik Renew on the inside and you've got Liam and Mbako and all these different opportunities of guys to be able to shoot the ball, it's a totally different team. Like, Mike Woodson would really, I think, enjoy coaching that team. There's no way he could convince me he enjoys coaching this team right now. This team is pretty miserable to watch. I'm pretty sure they're pretty miserable to coach.
And I don't disagree with that, but there has to be some part of taking ownership of that and why that is that way by him. And until that, I mean, there's change that has to happen all the way around, not just with Mike Woodson, but with the team, with the guys. Xavier gets another technical foul, not, something big, just stupid. What's the rule? Don't touch the ball when the basket goes through. You don't touch the ball. Why do it? You know that. Everybody knows that. I know it's
yeah,
kind of,
but
it
but
had to
here's
be last year.
But here's the deal with that situation that happens today. This is why you can't do what he did, whatever it was, 4 or 5, 6 games ago, whenever he hit the Rutgers guy. Because had he just done, if Anthony Leal did tonight what Xavier did and catching that ball and just throwing it to the guy or whatever, no one would have said a single word about it. We would have never commented on it again. It would not have been a big deal. But because it was Xavier, because it's just another example of him being involved in something that's not basketball related, then it just becomes an issue. And that's his own fault. Like, he can't blame that on anyone other than himself, because he's the only one that put himself in this scenario. And, if you're winning and you're playing well, people tend to overlook some of these issues. But when you're losing and when you're all of a sudden 12-8 and Indiana fans are probably assuming you're not making the NCAA tournament, they're going to nitpick the heck out of you. And then everything that you do becomes magnified. And when things are bad, they're magnified worse in a bad way. And that's where this team is right now. Like, everything that they do is going to get scrutinized because they put themselves in this terrible position.
But I am not picking on you. I just want you to know that. But he says this team would not survive if Coach Knight was here. What happened to the motion offense IU was noted for? Do they practice any free throws? Too much standing around? Yada, yada, yada. First of all, Coach Knight is not walking through that or any other doors. And that has been that way forever. So that and Mike Woodson is not Bob Knight. Nobody is Bob Knight. Part of the reason the motion offense is not here is because Bob Knight is not here to run it. No one knows this better than Todd, because it's simple yet not simple. It's detail oriented. You have to do the things you have to do or it breaks down. But there does not seem to be a semblance of a really flowing offense with this team.
Yeah, I mean, and look, the game is different today. Like, the whole Coach Knight, how would Coach Knight react to things and all that? Like, it's fun as Indiana fans to reminisce about the Coach Knight days and all that. I loved it. That's why I went there. But at the end of the day, like, we've got to move past all that, and we got to get to the point where we're focused on what the game is today and what they can control today, what they can do to get better today. And the Bud's comment about the free throws. Yes, they practice free throws, but here's the deal: like, you don't have enough time during practice to just practice the free throws. Like, these guys need to be coming in, like, they need to start shooting free throws, at 7 a.m, and then at 2 p.m, and then at 8 o'clock at night. Like, if they want to get better at something, like, they can get better at it, but they've got to put the work in to do it. And the unfortunate part is like, that's probably something they should have done during the summertime or, in preseason.
And talking about the free throws, it's part of it. I know, as you say, being a great shooter, you talk about there's some deficiencies, but there also has to be other things that go into it, because even the guys that have the most funky of styles will get in a rhythm at least. And whether that's a comfortable rhythm, whether that is a confident rhythm, whatever it is, these guys do not get in rhythm.
Yeah, and so look at it this way. Like, Xavier Johnson was 2 for 7 from the free throw line tonight, okay? And we know Xavier's a better free throw shooter than that. He's not great, but he's better than 2 for 7 for sure. But, Jim, this is what I go back to. I blame all of this on his antics that he did back in the Rutgers game. And that's kind of derailed the injury that he had a little bit. But then the Rutgers game and that situation kind of derailed his entire super senior season, or whatever you want to call it, his AARP season. And this is the situation where I think 2 for 7 tonight is because, one, he's not been involved in the games throughout the season the way that we all anticipated he would be, heading into prior to any games being played. And, you can't blame that on anyone other than Xavier. And if Xavier wants to wants to really analyze why he's 2 for 7 in this game tonight, you just got to sit down and look in the mirror and realize, okay, I put myself in this position. I'm responsible for this. I've got to do something to change it and make it better. Otherwise, his super senior season is going to be not only not memorable, it's going to be miserable. And he's going to look at this later down the road as a mistake of him coming back for this last season. And I don't think he felt this way, and I definitely don't think the coaching staff felt that way about him coming back prior to any games being played. But where they stand around 20 games into the season, I'm not sure everyone feels like this was the best scenario for the team.
Dairy Queen just walked in, through into the other room, said hi to, and that was the mother of another player.
Let's hope Dairy Queen says hi to you in press rooms for the next couple of years.
Boy, they could
sweet.
Certainly use him. He
sweet.
was huge. He was huge in their game here last night, in a game where a lot of guys were huge. He had 23 points, I think 12 rebounds.
They play the finals there tonight, you said? Who are they playing against?
Yeah, the championship game is tonight against Prolific.
Prolific Prep.
Dang it. Prolific Prep, who this should be a great game. Looking forward to it. And Cooper Flagg, he's a bad man.
Hey, tell me if I will bet you neither team tonight goes 0 for the 3-point line. And these guys,
I bet you they don't go 0 from the 3. I bet you they don't go 0 from the 3-point line in the first quarter.
Yeah, for sure.
The team that they beat last night opened the game with 3 straight and had 4 in the first quarter.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, look, I don't want to sit here. I don't want to sit here and try to pin, one thing on the game plan or the coaches or anything like that. But I'll tell you, it's pretty not fun to watch this basketball team play when they can't shoot. Like, I don't know how else to say it, but I mean, I'm an Indiana fan through and through. I will always be an Indiana fan, but this team sucks to watch. Like, they're miserable to watch, and I'd find it hard to believe outside of Malik Renew's family, like, probably no one enjoyed watching this game tonight as an Indiana fan, because Malik was great. Like, he's fantastic. He did everything he could possibly do in this game, and he was fantastic. But the game itself was brutal and miserable.
Alan the Cashman from the cashmanwins.com, where you can go lay your bets down anytime. And so we've got the Super Bowl coming. I'm sure he will help you with those. And Bubba, before that, though, we've got the conference championships. That's it this weekend, right?
Tomorrow night, yeah, tomorrow.
Oh, baby.
Big football day. Big football day tomorrow.
He'll be busy. But he asked, what is this team's chemistry? What do they do well? What are they improving on? Great question.
Yeah, I mean, he asks what is their identity. I think I've been saying that all year long. Is like, what is this team's identity? Like, I know they want to pound the ball inside. Okay, yep, I get that. I understand. But what do they do well? And I'm not trying to be a smart ass. I don't know. Nothing. Like, they're not really good at anything. I mean, they're not. I can't answer that. I don't know. They're not very good at anything.
John says Woodson doesn't have to take ownership of anything. These guards flat out can't shoot. Come on, man. They're college kids and miss how many free throws today? Let's not throw it on Woodson. I'm not putting this all on Woodson, but I am
on Woodson either.
But there is enough blame to go around. There's no way that some of the things that happen are not from culture or from not. We just had a question. What is this team's identity? Well, it doesn't matter if they're making or missing shots. You can still have an identity. You just may not be good at it. They don't have an identity, and they're not good at not doing anything else. So it's not about putting it on Woodson. It's just about saying, here are the facts, and the facts are the facts.
Jim, I love to disagree with you. Like I really do. It's one of my favorite things in our show. But I can't disagree with you right now. Like you are totally 100% right. Like we do not have an identity. We're not really good at anything. We have some really good players, but we're not really good at anything as a team. And we're not fun to watch. Like we you know, like I don't want to see somebody flex after you got fouled on an and one. Like I don't want to see that. You know, when you do that, you flex when you're like 19-1. You don't flex when you're 12-8 and have pretty much zero chance of making the NCAA tournament. Like, look, I want these guys to make $10 million in the NIL deal. That's great. Like all for it. I'm all for it. But man, I don't want to see them make $10 if this is how they're going to play. Like these guys don't deserve to make anything. And I'll just straight up tell them they do not deserve to make any money playing the way they're playing. That's a fact.
And we're talking good money.
Good money.
We're talking, there's probably no one listening, and there's damn sure nobody on this show that makes the kind of money we're talking about.
Well, I hope some of our listeners do, but I can tell you the two of us don't.
Well, some of these guys.
Hey, I hope all our listeners do, but I'll tell you this: like, hey, here's the bottom line to what it is. Like, this is where you're looking. I know you were telling the story about Derek Queen and Liam McNeil, asking them the question of do they watch this team and see how their game would fit in to this. I mean, if I'm Derek Queen and I look at this. This is the number one place I would want to go because you're going to touch the ball every time down the court. Like the last place he wants to go is to Iowa, somewhere where they're going to chuck threes up all day long and he's got to get offensive rebounds. At Indiana, apparently they're going to throw you the ball every time down the court. I mean, Malik Renew, he wouldn't transfer from here for anything because he's having a field day. He gets to touch the ball every single time down the court. And, you know, it worked for Trace Jackson Davis. It's working for Malik Renew. What these guys do not understand. This is my problem with the way that us not having an identity. I would rather us be 5 for 29 from the 3-point line than 0 for 9. Like, yeah. I don't care what the percentage is. You got to put it up. Like
it's either commit. If you're going to do it, commit to it.
Right. Don't shoot 9 or shoot 29. Like it can't be that 0 for 9, like 2 for 9 can't happen. Like you've got to put them up or not, or shoot 0 of them and say it's illegal for us to shoot them. But this team, what they don't understand, what they're not getting is Malik Renew would benefit significantly from Indiana being a good outside shooting team. And the outside shooters definitely would benefit off of the inside guys needing to be double teamed and stuff all the time, which is happening. So everything to be able to make shots, like Jim, we didn't miss a ton of contested 3-pointers. We missed 9 pretty much wide open shots. Maybe Mbako's at the very end was contested. The other 8 were completely wide open 3-point shots that were taken. And not even close. The closest one we had to going in was Mbako's last one he took that was contested. I'm not sure we were even close on any of the other 8. And so I'm just beating a dead horse here. Yeah, I mean, our problem is we can't shoot the ball. End of the story. There isn't a second problem. Our number one problem and our only problem is this team can't shoot the
ball. They have got Iowa coming up next at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall this Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. Iowa has not played all that well this year, but it doesn't matter. This is the team that came into Bloomington last year and cost Indiana with that loss. That was a hard loss for them to take. And so come over here, say hi.
What we got?
Say hi to Ashley McNeil.
Hi,
I follow her on Twitter, as all Indiana fans follow her on Twitter.
Todd Leary on the right there, former sharpshooter. He follows you on Twitter.
Oh, nice to meet you.
So hopefully
we look forward to having your son. Trust me, we look forward to having your son big time.
She can't hear you, but he's saying that they look forward to having Liam because they could certainly use him. And good luck tonight in the championship game.
Thanks very much.
We'll see you soon. Thank you, Ashley McNeil, for jumping on there for a second. And
you just turn the camera while we're walking away, you're going to get your camera did that itself. Please make sure everyone knows that your camera did that. It is a smart camera.
Gimbal or whatever. And I didn't even know it because I was looking down for a second. I looked back up and all I could see is nothing by then.
That's pretty funny.
What the hell?
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, this thing is hilarious. Iowa coming in next. So Indiana has got to get things together. That's a team that is going to push them. They like to push the ball. And they don't have that guy this year that they normally have a guy. And I don't know that they have that guy this year. So that's what makes them susceptible to losing.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing, Jim. They're going to come in here. They're going to shoot 3-pointers. That's a fact. And they're going to push it up and down the floor. And they're going to, if they make shots, they are very difficult to beat. When they don't make shots, I mean, they're susceptible to getting beat. And so, it's going to come down to, not the defense. It's going to come down to whether Indiana cannot match threes to be able to stay in the game.
One more comment, Shelley. I think one issue might be they are not good enough to run that type of offense. Second, I'm not sure that style wins college ball games. Can't argue with any of that.
Shelley,
who's feeding you all this? Shelley, who's feeding you all this information? Shelley, are you a coach? Because you're all your comments are like dead on and point specific.
She's making very good points, and she's right on the money on those. Like those. Yeah, I can't argue with any of that either. That is the pro style offense. I think that's why I continue to give Coach Painter at Purdue tons of credit, because I think he's done the best job at making a hybrid offense between the pro style and motion offense. And they've got guys cutting all over the floor. They get a lot of easy baskets. This Indiana team gets very few easy baskets, even though they score a lot of points in the paint. They're not generally easy baskets. So, it's this team's not fun to watch. Like I'm straight up telling you, this team sucks to watch. Like I don't enjoy watching them play. Like every game to me is I had a great time this last week, Jim, when they didn't play all week.
Yeah.
Like I get nervous watching them play. I get nervous watching them play because they suck. They suck.
Well, you should join Todd. You should join Tom. And he's watching the replay of the 1989 state finals versus Kokomo.
Hey, we won.
Floyd Central got beat in that Final Four by Kokomo as well. Poo-pooing on that, but no, I'm just kidding. Well, that's pretty much it, man. There's just not a lot more to say.
There is.
We could sit here. We could beat this horse all damn day long, but I'm going to get done so I can make sure to get out and watch this prolific prep Montverde championship game here tonight as they go for another championship. And I'll be talking to Liam and Derek and Caden Allen again tonight. And I'll talk to Coach Boyle. Anything you want me to ask anybody?
No, but you can tell Derek that I personally will get him a Dairy Queen sponsorship if he comes to Indiana.
Done.
Deal.
I will tell him that. DQ for DQ, baby.
Yeah.
Man, I cannot thank everybody enough. Make sure that you stop by and see the guys, Benny and the Jets from Hoosier Hanks East, where Todd is. I miss that pizza, man. I miss that pizza so bad.
I am taking it home. I'm taking it home.
I can almost taste it from here. But yeah, make sure you stop by and see the guys at Hoosier Hanks East over off of College Mall Road. And we'll be back again. I'm back on Monday for the normal daily show. Tuesday night, another after the game. And then, of course, I'll have plenty of stuff from down here at Montverde with Liam McNeil, Derek Queen, and Caden Allen. Dude, I watched a kid the other night in their first win where they just kicked the ever-loving crap out of the team they play. I mean, it was the worst beatdown in any game at any level in any sport that I've ever seen. It was 70-20 at the half. They scored 104 points. They scored 104 points in 3 quarters.
Wow. Yeah, it's tough for a team that good in high school to find competition.
But then in the second half, this kid that sits on the bench from Brazil, Lucas Lima, 6'6", wing guard. Dude was he was squeezing every minute that he was out there. I saw this dude shot threes, made threes, 5 dunks, had a reverse dunk, steals, blocks, rebounds.
You're
And
digressing.
I was
Sign us off. Get us out of here.
And he has no offers. But that's how good the talent is down on the bench.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right.
Todd, Leary, go out and have a great one. Thanks to each and every one of you guys. We greatly, greatly, sincerely appreciate you. Until Monday, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.